Welcome back to another episode of the Jordan Checker podcast, where today I'm joined by Sarah Cumming. Sarah lives the life of a digital nomad whilst working as the global content lead for Blowfish Studios at Animoca Brands, who are the global leader in games, blockchain, and AI. She's also extremely passionate about documenting her pursuit of health, wealth, and happiness. In today's episode with Sarah, we'll go through a variety of topics ranging from the realistic life of a digital nomad, top 3 places in the world to pursue digital nomadism, how escaping the matrix can become a matrix of its own, the power of quality human connection for our mental health, daily non-negotiables for physical and mental health, what is Web3 gaming and blockchain technology, the future of Web3 gaming, the pros of DeFi, which is decentralized finance, the more we plug in, the more we disconnect, and much, much more. If you haven't already, please do subscribe on either Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts and enjoy the episode. Where'd the want to live the digital nomad life come from?
Well, I sort of sorry. It's lovely to be here, Jordan. Thank you for having me on. Basically, I was traveling from a young age, from 18 onwards, just consistently coming back and forth from Australia. And I saw the digital nomad lifestyle take off around, I don't know, it was like 6-7 years ago when everyone was sort of seeing these digi-nomads pop up in Bali, and I was there at the time. And there was just this feeling of, like this is my calling.
Yep.
This is for me. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it felt like that was where my future was headed. So I have always craved freedom, and I suppose the lifestyle of being able to go anywhere and work from any country was something that really resonated with me and spoke to me. So I just worked towards that year at a time, and it didn't happen overnight, and it never does. But I just knew that putting different sort of actions into place, I would get to where I needed to go and ultimately end up being able to be free and work from anywhere. And it happened. Yeah.
So that level, like you've talked obviously on freedom there, like to you at the time, were you seeing freedom as purely being work and travel wherever I wanted to be, or was it like the financial freedom, time freedom? What sort of other aspects came into that?
Yeah, definitely all of the above.
I want it all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just, the idea of freedom in itself is so intoxicating to some people. Not for everyone, but for me personally, the idea of, financial freedom, the freedom to choose when and where you work from, like, God, it's just, you romanticize that so much. So I was very attracted to the whole idea, the whole package, and like the digital nomad lifestyle, really, it sums it up. Yeah.
So how do you find that? I mean, personally, if I travel, I'm like, I don't want to work. Like when I'm traveling at the time, like how do you balance like being like such a cool place, I just want to explore, versus then being like, fuck, I've got a job to do still.
Yeah. It's hard because you come back to Australia and you're like, oh, what did you see? Like your family's like, where did you go? What did you see? And I'm like, I was working, guys. They're like, no, you're not. I was like, yes, I was working. I've been to so many countries and still haven't done so much, because you do have to like work during the day, and I feel that I would like to implement a better structure when I'm on the road to be able to have more time freedom to do more stuff. But it's hard to stay motivated, because when you're doing remote work, like everyone kind of knows now that working from home is really tough. If you're and we're not meant to sit in front of computers. Like I was not born to sit in front of a computer, but it is the way it is. So having the discipline to set your own time frames and working blocks, and not get distracted by the fact that there's a giant Buddha that I want to go check out. There's a 10K run with a giant Buddha at the top of the mountain that I want to go do. And it's hard. It's really, really tough, but discipline. So it always comes back to.
So do you think then that lifestyle, even on social media, is a little bit romanticized in the fact of like, I'm a digital nomad, I'm traveling, I'm seeing the whole world, and it's like, yes, but at the same time, like you're not just picking up and going on a jet ski for 8 hours a day either. Like you're still having to work.
Yeah. Oh, there's no jet skiing.
Yeah.
No, there's no jet skiing.
So what's the attraction then? Because I imagine a lot of people think that's what the living abroad and working abroad is. What then becomes the attraction and why you want to keep doing it, even though you're not exploring as much as maybe you would hope for?
It's the fact that you are in a completely different culture and the fact that you are experiencing completely new things every day. It's seriously akin to a psychedelic experience, in my opinion. Being overseas and having these new situations play out every day is just, it's crazy. You are out of the mundane 9 to 5 typical lifestyle, and anything can happen, whether it's good or bad. It's, who knows, because anything can go wrong when you're living on the road. And it is also, it's taxing in the sense that you live in the unknown and uncertainty constantly. Like I really don't know like far in advance, like where I'm going to be, like a few months even, because of the visa. So like visa situations in different countries. So it can be, I think it is definitely romanticized on social media a little bit, but at the same time, if that's what gets you going, like that's people, it's why it's so popular and why so many people want to do it, because people want that, they want that spontaneity in life.
Do you find that when you're in those places then as well, it's pretty easy to find the group of people that are also doing that? So you're like your network becomes other people doing a very similar sort of thing. Like I imagine Bali probably, yes, but maybe not so much in other countries.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting talking point. The like thinking about how people romanticize the digital nomad lifestyle from social media. One of the hardest things is being alone all the time and potentially not finding a network. Like human connection is obviously one of the most important things that we require for a healthy lifestyle. And there have been times where I've been so alone, and perhaps that was out of choice, but because I needed that at the time. Once you, like, if you want to find people that resonate with you, it's always available. You just have to look for it. Yeah. Whether that's, cafes, like specific digital nomad working places. The gym has always been a big one for me. Yeah. Like I go to the gym and you find people that resonate with your lifestyle. But yeah, it's so important when you go to a place. Bali for sure is so like,
it's the hub.
That's the hub. It's the hub. It can be distracting though. Like Bali in particular. I was living in Canggu for a bit. It's the vortex. There's a reason why it's called the vortex. Like you get stuck and you get sucked into it. An amazing place, amazing energy. But yes, you can very easily get very little done just as much as you can get a lot done. It's always about the balance.
So you can start to like very easily do too much life, not enough work in an environment like that as well. Like when, I guess, because a lot of people are going there also for holiday.
Yeah.
So that's what you're surrounded by. It's like, oh, you're not here working. You're like here for 2 weeks, just chilling at a villa or whatever. And you're like, would be nice.
Yeah, it's extremely transient. Like when I was there, I would make friends with people and they would leave in 2 weeks. So you would have 2 weeks, and when people would know this feeling of when you're traveling, you make friends with someone, and because you're with them every day, your relationship goes into hyperdrive. So I would make friends with with people who were only there for 2 weeks, and it would be like this, and then they would move on, and it was always so sad, and you would it was just rinse and repeat. So always having or finding some people that were based there was definitely the best option. And not going out too much, or not getting too absorbed into all the different activities that you can do. Because as a digital nomad, there's, especially in Bali, always something to do. There's always workshops. There's always communities meeting. But once again, a lot of information going into the mind, like a lot of energy being absorbed, and that can be really, really distracting from your mission. So
I guess that's that's kind of aligned with like social media as well. Like and podcasts, books, you name it, whatever. Like it's maybe not so much the slower long form sort of stuff is that takes time to get through. But you go on social media and there's all this overstimulus of opinions, and you should be doing this, you should be doing that, much kind of like the overstimulus in that situation then.
Yeah.
So how are you like navigating? Obviously, do you spend little time on social media yourself to try and not overstimulate yourself in multiple aspects of life then, I guess, as well?
Yeah. I mean, overstimulation is like the kryptonite of society these days. We are so overstimulated, whether that's with social activities or social media or anything, like drugs, alcohol, coffee.
Who the fuck are you talking to?
So yeah, I'm super sensitive. There's no denying it. I need to pull myself back constantly because I love stimulation. Like I love even just conversing, but like a conversation that is so stimulating can drain the shit out of me. I don't know if I'm allowed to say shit, but
you can say whatever you want.
Shit out of me.
I've said much worse.
So yeah, I my battery levels will just plummet, and I think social media, because it's such a quick hit, quick hits of dopamine, and if you start your day with that, you're instantly going back all day to try and get to that, back up to that level. It's all related to the dopamine system, but
So do you then, to avoid that happening, do specific things, whether that's like actually have an alarm clock, not your phone as your alarm, so then the first thing you're grabbing is not your phone and things like that?
So I actually use an app called Opal. It locks you out of your social media and any app that you actually want it to lock you out of. If we're talking about social media or the phone, which is the biggest distraction, I use this application called Opal, and it'll lock you out all day and it won't let you get back in. But you can put it on you can pause it, which is,
you're like, lock me out until I tell you not to lock me out.
which honestly is a bug in my opinion. Like you shouldn't be able to get past that.
But I guess I have to, otherwise, like if you actually needed to be on there. I know,
that's the thing. When your job is social media, it's really hard. But we need to be more mindful of it. So I find actually the best thing that I was in my most healthy state, I would leave my phone at home and just not be on it for hours and hours.
Most people get anxiety just thinking about doing that these days.
That makes me so happy, like to just not have to respond to anything and just be out in the natures, walking around, be training, like and not have anything that's distracting me. And I think just the mindfulness and the awareness of how much it can suck the life out of you is the main point. Because if you're aware, then you will naturally do more to mitigate those distractions. Yeah,
well, I guess it's that little gap, even when you first like remove it from your pocket or whatever it is, it may feel like a little bit like, oh shit, like I'm missing something, because it's like attached to our hip. It's like it becomes a part of us almost as well. And then you start to run these thoughts in your head. You're like, what if, this is probably the excuse why people keep it. They're like, what if someone calls me and it's an emergency? I'm like, how many emergencies have people called in the last 5 years? Fuck all, none. Like what are the chances that the one day you leave your phone in the car, they're going to call for an emergency?
Yeah. Yeah, it's we are cyborgs already. Like we are cyborgs. We are so attached. Our phone is our consciousness. Like it is everything to us right now, and will continue to be more into the future. It's scary. Everything we are so dependent on it for every little part of the day. So creating a lifestyle that doesn't rely on that wholly is like, even to pay for things. Does anyone actually carry a card these days? Cash?
I love cash. But I don't, that's PT clients. We won't go into why we do that. But no one from the ATO is listening. No. Or Lodge, don't worry.
Yeah.
But I guess that's probably a similar point, I guess, to actually, I'll hold on here about crypto then as well. Like
tax.
Like lovely, but yeah, that too. But like the side of like, we want to go down to crypto because of the decentralization and all those sort of aspects, why that's snazzy. I'm like, but it's still digital. Like we're still plugging ourselves in more and more and more with all of these sort of things. And I just wonder whether like, is it actually an overarching good thing? Like what are we chasing there?
Yeah. So with crypto, or just like being more integrated with technology?
Probably general, but crypto more specifically, yeah.
Well, with technology, I feel that there's no stopping the train now. No. Like we need to now find a way to harmoniously integrate it into our life. And it's a possibility for sure. I personally see crypto being a part of that. At least crypto doesn't make you dependent on a single hub or institution, and for me, obviously, I value freedom. Yeah. So that is part of the reason why I feel like I resonate so much with crypto, and I think people don't really grasp that that's what it equals. Yeah. It's a debatable topic, and plenty of people would say differently that it is still owned by the major banks and companies and the wealthiest people in the world, which is not necessarily untrue. It's just it allows a higher return on participation, but with traditional banking systems and what we currently are in, the current financial system, man, like tell me one person that's, I love the banks. I love our financial situation, that like the global financial situation. Tell me one person, even the finance, banking, investment bros that I meet who are like, crypto's a scam. And I'm like, okay, but what about the current that's a scam too. I'm like,
so we're left with scams.
So what's the plan from here? Yeah. Like where are your bets placed? Because if they're not placed on the traditional financial system, then where are you putting your money? Yeah. Like, I know where I'm putting my money. It's Bitcoin.
Pump. I guess as well, like that becomes a generic sort of then a global maybe currency, therefore that like it's the value wherever you go is maintained the same. It kind of makes things a little bit easier in that sense as well, I would imagine. I mean, I don't know, I'll be honest, much about crypto rather than like the basic sort of stuff that most people kind of see online, but like the whole like DeFi and things like that, to me, tell me if I'm wrong, that's still like kind of acts as a bit of a bank though in terms of like lending, and that's kind of a hub, or how does that exactly work?
So DeFi, like, yes, it does act as somewhat of a bank, but I suppose the difference is it's distributed and it's decentralized and it's a global game, right? So everyone that is participating in this game is incentivized and aligned in the mission, and there's no one. Well, it depends on what we're talking about, because it's nuanced, but generally there's no like one person that's holding all the keys to the castle. And everyone has a chance to make money and to to hold money in a way that's not tied down by borders or rules or restrictions. There's still, barriers. But for example, I mean, I work in gaming, in crypto gaming. There are a lot of people in third world countries that have been able to game the system and be making so much money. I'm talking like 20,000 USD a month in the height of
even comparison to first world situation.
I'll happily say I don't make that much money.
Yeah.
They were playing games, like they were playing crypto games, and they were bringing in so much money, and then their community like all got involved. And I think the Philippines there was a game called Axie Infinity, and it had the highest download rates in the highest amount of people that were playing were in the Philippines, because they were just they worked out that this is going to make me more money than doing like the traditional route or doing that and this. And there was no barriers for them to be able to participate.
Yeah.
Like
anyone can do it, sort of thing, as long as you got that internet connection.
Exactly.
You're on, right?
And they're playing a game. Like they really were gaming life. They were gaming the system. They were
Sounds right, doesn't it?
it's great.
Yeah.
So that is just one example of the freedom that it can unlock for people that don't necessarily have the odds stacked in their favor. Like we are from Australia, we have so much privilege.
Yeah.
We have the opportunity to do so much and to earn so much, but these people don't. They have their phone though. They have their phone, and they have this global financial payment system that doesn't require them to set up a bank in the US or whatever. Like all you need is a wallet. Yeah.
It's pretty powerful. I guess so for people that maybe don't really even understand how the hell you could be making money from the gaming side of things, how does that actually work? Exactly, like, tokens, all these sort of things, that terms people may not be too familiar with. How does Web3 gaming differ from standard gaming, I guess?
Well, it's like I'm not a gamer by trade. Like I've never really been into gaming. So when it comes to the technical side of gaming and how it all works, I'm not an expert. I'll just put it out there. But when you have Call of Duty or Halo, there's a point system, right? Like you play based on, and you win the game based on kills or points or whatever in the game, or mining, or however that works. Apply that model to apply an economic model to that, and then you get the crypto element. So you're basically, these blockchain games are basically setting up circular economies within their game. So you could be, instead of mining for points, you're mining for a token.
Yep.
And that token can then be exchanged into another cryptocurrency or into fiat. Fiat is money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much like it's that every game would have its own token, and that token then has a value that you could then sell for, or trade for Bitcoin, or you could trade for fiat currency and all those sort of things as well.
Correct. So it's just applying another level to a gaming model. Instead of people like just playing for fun or for funsies with their friend, just shooting their friends and not having any sort of return.
Yeah.
They're then playing these games to actually have some financial incentive. And it's very clever. Like when you add a financial incentive to something, it just makes
especially gaming, like everyone already goes crazy for it.
Exactly.
And I imagine like it's, now whether that's healthy that we want people to do it more, that argument could be a separate argument. But like to your point though, like it's for people in countries that's the opportunity. Yeah. Like maybe in the first world, you could be like, maybe we could do other things with our time as well. And that could be something you just do on the weekends or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, if that's getting people out of poverty, if that's getting people in a position where they can live a much safer, better life, who are we to judge? Like, cool.
For sure. It's there's so many ways that crypto can be integrated into gaming, but also all aspects of life. But for gaming, it really does open the doors for so many people to be making more money. Not that that should always be the incentive to be playing a game. Another example of a healthier way to be earning crypto and have it gamified is there are fitness apps that are now implementing instead of it's a point system, but those points then are converted to the token, or you earn the token. So by wearing sneakers that like say Nike sneakers that have a tracker in them, you're able to then accumulate points and convert that to some sort of financial incentive. So
we become the game then.
Well, it's everything's
yeah.
We're living in the game of life, like
accept it, move on, like kind of thing. Isn't
yeah,
it?
Play the game or like lose. I don't know, not lose, but you will get played if you don't play the game harder. That's just how life. That's just how life is.
Yeah, I think as well, like it's, we talked about it a little bit before, like kind of accepting some of the things. Like it's, you don't have to change, like the world is the way it is. You're not going to change that necessarily completely, like on your own or whatever. Like you can do the little things to go along with it, but like in terms of like the Matrix or anything like this, it's like trying to escape and run away from everything. Does that lead you into a path where you're just recreating that same mindset yourself? And that's something I touched on there. It's like running away from the Matrix. Then do you create that new Matrix of better car, bigger house, nicer watch, all the, whatever it may be as well. Like sometimes coming to the acceptance that some things in life that's okay. Like you don't have to change everything as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the Matrix is a construct of your own making. Like you could be very happy in a 9-to-5 job if that's fulfilling your spirit and making your life better, and you're coming home at the end of the day being like, yeah, I am fulfilled, I am satisfied. Yeah. Then you don't need to escape that. It is what you make it. So for me, I'm not happy doing that. Therefore, I need to escape that particular matrix. But if that's what makes you happy, then there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, it really comes down to what satisfies you as a person and being able to determine what information is helpful to bring satisfaction into your life and contentment, rather than trying to, we did touch on this before, but the ability to determine all the information flying around what will serve you, because we can create more and more and more layers of this matrix that we're trying to escape, but actually getting deeper and deeper into it because we don't feel like we're doing enough, or we don't feel like we've basically creating more prisons for ourselves, because it's just it's a mind game at the end of the day. And it's the more information and the more you feed that, the harder it will be, I think, to escape it. So just accepting what is, and just being really mindful of the fact that you don't need to be doing everything. You don't need to be doing everything that someone else is doing in particular. Like your life is different to my life. I don't necessarily need to be doing everything that you're doing. It really comes down to what makes you happy. Yeah.
I guess that's hard as well in the world where we're exposed to so many people's different highlight reels, not even their whole life. Like so you start to be like, I want that. Or like it's very easily, like I'm sure you could very easily portray a digital nomad lifestyle as just perfect for everyone. But that's not accurate. Like it's, if you're, you don't like traveling. You like to have a home, you want to buy a home and just live there and build that and grow your life in and around that. Well, listening to you being like, no, but this is the perfect life. Then if you start to push that on other people, then that actually pushes them away from what makes them tick, what makes them happy. And it's kind of like, so get different ideas and get insights from people, but accepting that like they're only going to show you the good parts mostly on social media. But even of those good parts, are they good for you?
Yeah.
They may not be suited to you. Like if someone wanted to, start a family early, well, maybe traveling the world and, having the uncertainty is a really bad situation for you to be in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Choose what you want.
Yeah. It really does come back to it, and not feeling the FOMO, the FOMO of like, or feeling guilty or shame that you're not doing something that someone else is doing.
Yeah.
You don't have to live your life based on what you're seeing on someone else's highlight reels, because as you said, like a lot of the time it's not 100% true. I'm guilty of this. Like
I think we all are.
Yeah. I have, as I said, like when I was traveling and I was on my own a lot, and there was times where I was just so lonely, so lonely. I wasn't posting on social media at this time, but it was not a romantic situation. And regardless of what you do with your life or where it's headed, there's always going to be ups and downs.
Yeah.
No matter if you think that, this is going to bring me so much joy, or this is going to make my life so fulfilled. Well, yes, it may in the long run, but you're still going to have those really, really tough times. And it's actually about accepting that like life is like this, and that it's never going to be perfect, and it's never going to be exactly how you want it. It's actually just accepting the process in the journey.
Yeah. I wonder as well, like you tapped on, like you weren't into the social media stuff as much as when you were traveling in the past as well, whether had you been into that social media, that would have been a massive void for the loneliness as well, because very easily you could be like likes, comments or whatever follows. You're like, oh, I'm not alone. People care about me. I'm all this sort of stuff. So then you get deeper and deeper into that social media trap. So like something for people to maybe be mindful of if they are wanting to do the whole travel and do that thing, be careful if you're combining that, because that may be what stops you from deliberately going out and finding connection elsewhere, because you've got this false feeling of connection from your phone.
Yeah. It's the validation is a major one that content creators have to navigate. You can easily fill a void. You can easily fill a void, not just with social media, but with alcohol, with food, with any stimulation. Like it's pleasure at the end of the day. It's filling the void with false pleasure. False. I wrote something the other day. It was false pleasures breed genuine pain. So chasing those likes and
it's like the short-term sort of stuff.
Exactly. The short-term dopamine hits, like the unsustainable ones that really, really mess with your head. And I think that, to your point, when I was alone and wasn't posting, that needed to happen. Like I really didn't post on anything for years and years. I was on this hiatus, and I really just did not want to share it. I dabbled at certain points, but I never felt the need to be posting about anything. And I strongly believe that was meant to be the way it was, because otherwise I wouldn't have had that time to work out, do I actually want to do that? Do I actually want to share my life? And do I actually want to go down that route? And ultimately I was like, YOLO.
Yeah, fuck it.
Why
Let's
not?
do it. Yeah,
let's go.
And I guess at the end of it was good that you had that conversation with yourself as well, because you don't have to, like, not everyone has to be somebody on social media. You could just live your life, stay off. Maybe, you have a look and you've got it because you follow some fitness page or whatever it is. It's like, but not everyone has to be trying to be a content creator or sharing their life. That's fine. That's cool. Like if that's not the life you want, that's fine. Like like we said before, choose what you prefer. Like for me, I want to put a podcast up. That's going to come with posting stuff on social media.
Yeah.
But I try not to really, like, I don't get too personal on my social media. I'm like, it's more like a business.
Yeah.
That's why I try, and for me, that's that disconnecting from filling that void maybe of being like likes are attached to me. It's like, no, likes are attached to the podcast, or likes are attached to my business and all that. So it's not actually Jordan Checker as a person.
Yeah.
So I can step away from that and pivot if I don't want to, like, I went from fitness content to podcast. I was able to do that because I'd stepped away from it being a personal sort of thing.
How long did it take you to sort of go through that process of understanding that your social media isn't you? It's not you don't need to identify with that sort of everything that comes with all those like the attention, I suppose, and how you're trying to portray yourself.
It was probably when I first, like, it took me a while to actually step out of that, because I've been like a few years trying to really make the fitness content sort of work. And then when I stepped away and I stopped posting for like a couple of months, I was like, my life's the same.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed. Like, it's funny about that, isn't it? Like, it's maybe it's like, okay, you know, that also put the proof in that what I was doing hadn't worked as well, because I didn't have the business I thought I'd have and all those sort of things. But then I was like, wow, I can do this. And then with the business I'm working on now, I'm like, I don't want to be the face. I want to run it. I want to start it, but I don't want people to like see In Check and be like, that's Jordan Checker. No, I just want them to see that's a fitness app. That's a brand. That's something that helps people. So it actually, through dropping the fitness content and the uncertainty of that, and then feeling like, wow, I am fine. And then I started the podcast, and then, you know, that flicked a switch for the business. So I'm like, make it not about you.
Yeah.
Make it about solving the problems.
Yeah.
And you're just the guy that helps make that happen. And so, once, you know, we said before recording as well, like sometimes you have to go through that space that you probably didn't want to step into to realize that it's okay, and realize that there's, you know, you'll be fine. All is good, or, you know, you can change and you don't have to stay the same as well.
Yeah.
So I think you just got to step into it.
Yeah.
Which is not easy.
No, it never is.
No.
But it always is the case that the thing that you don't want to do is probably going to lead to the most amount of growth. It's just the way it is.
It's life. Accept it. Don't try and push around it.
Exactly.
So, when you're obviously, you know, you're picking a new place to live, let's call it.
Yeah.
What's the process? What are you trying to consider? Like, do you have a checklist that you kind of like, I need X, Y, and Z for my base life, and then this is where I go based on that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Big list.
Oh, it's not a big list. It's just like very set in stone. Yeah. Like, it's always good training, like good gyms that are available. The food is super important. So part of the reason why I love Thailand is because Muay Thai.
Yep.
Some of the best gyms that I've been to.
A lot of people go there to like prep for fights and things like that as well. Don't they? Like, it's kind of a bit of a hub for that.
It is definitely a hub. There's this particular street in Phuket called the Soy. Many people would know the Soy when I refer to it. It is called like Fight Street or Fighter Street. Everyone goes there. It's where UFC trainers have notoriously gone to train and to prepare for fights. Tiger Muay Thai is the gym that I'm referring to. But there's a bunch of different gyms on this one street. Everyone, it's 95% male, and then everyone is basically either on peptides, steroids.
It's like meatheads just running around. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's the place to be if you want to do that as
basically.
well.
But also a lot of people go there to train because it's so well set up. They go there for a month to get out of it's a great idea. Like a lot of FIFO workers will just go there for a month and train at the gyms, and they have like little cafes with bodybuilding meals, or like micro, perfectly perfected meals, so cheap. And it's just the ideal setup for anyone that's wanting to leave and do basically a training fitness holiday. But yeah, back to the question, I will base my travel and where I set up for months at a time based on training and what food is available there. Yep. In Thailand, there is an online company that an Australian man has set up. I think he's Australian or American, and you can get all your Australian beef grass fed. delivered to your door,
that's pretty good.
even if you're living on an island.
That shows how big the market is for it there if he's doing that.
Exactly.
Like, that's nuts.
He's making a killing. Paleo Robbie, if anyone needs a tip.
Yeah.
I'm sad I don't have it in Australia. It's seriously.
So they don't ship here?
No. It's
pretty much
just Thailand. Yeah.
Okay, so the market's good then.
It's bloody good.
Yeah.
Like, it really is. Yeah, it's the most ideal situation, and that's why I love going to Thailand, because I've got. As soon as I land, I'll do an order before I go. Grass-fed steak, beef, like the works, wild caught salmon, like it's just everything that you need, and then locate gym.
Yeah.
And in terms of other things on checklists, it's generally just Wi-Fi, like really decent Wi-Fi. Can't go too remote, unfortunately. Can't go too island, because I still need to be online.
Yeah.
And then, somewhere with nature, like somewhere where I can run, and somewhere where there is like access to a beach or rainforest or whatever. Yeah.
Thailand ticks all those boxes, I guess. Like,
I mean, I guess that's why I continue to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been to any places that you're like, not going there again?
No. I don't think so. Like, I've honestly been able to find places. Like, there's places where I would prefer to not go back to, because it just didn't really hit. Like Kuala Lumpur, I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've got something against Kuala. No hate to Kuala Lumpur.
Just not for you.
It's not for me. I really do. It's just like not a place in Asia where I would ever want to set up. Europe. Yeah, it's actually, I find it a little bit harder in Europe with the training and the healthy living, because they don't really have that many, like, I didn't find that many gyms.
No.
Especially like training, like fight Muay Thai gyms, and even the food. It's all, I really struggled to just find the sort of food that I like to eat.
Yeah.
Whereas in Bali and Thailand, they're so well catered for. I don't know your diet, but maybe you eat similarly to me. You eat a lot of
whole food sort of stuff.
Whole foods, protein. Really hard to, like, they eat a lot of carbs in Europe.
Tastes good.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Good for a holiday.
Yeah, absolutely. But to set up and you know, the routine.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to get into like a really good routine in anywhere where I was in Europe. So
That's interesting. Like a guy, I know he's massive, like a big guy, like more like the powerlifting sort of thing. And he was in Italy recently for a wedding, and similar sort of thing. He's like, no one here trains. Like, there's not much of it. There's not many gyms, like even normal gyms. Like, they're just, whereas here, especially in Melbourne, there's like 4 within, 6 shops of each other. I'm like, how are you all thriving? Like, it's just more of a priority, I guess. And it's just not something that their life revolves around as much.
We are so lucky. I think we are so lucky to have access to so much health and wellness at our fingertips. But I guess, why is that in Europe? Why is it like that?
Yeah.
There must be places. Amsterdam was really good.
Yep.
Amsterdam had some of the best options in terms of healthy food and gyms as well. Like I did kickboxing in Amsterdam. It was really, really good. But yeah, other than that, I really struggled to find places that I would, set up for a long time. But Europe's great. I still love it.
Good for a holiday. We'll leave it. Maybe not living. And now that you've dabbled with it, you're like, holiday, living in Asia sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure London has. I haven't spent that much time there, but I'm sure it'd be. But the weather. Oh my God, I can't do the weather.
Even now, it's too cold in Melbourne. Let alone, let alone over there.
I'm a mermaid. I need to be underwater. Yeah, like and the sun. I need the sun.
Yeah. Well, I think that taps into like all the other health factors as well. Like vitamin D is so important. It's fresh air, actually like having your skin in contact with the sun, all these other sort of things. It's like you're just not getting those things as often. There's a reason why like things like depression and whatever is so high and so prevalent in countries that don't see sun that often.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So correlated, and it's scary because I don't know. I mean, there's obviously you can take supplements for vitamin D, but you need the real thing.
Still the feeling. It's the emotion, I guess, that goes with it as well, or what you're doing alongside that. Like the amount of times like I see people on a beautiful day running on a treadmill, I'm like, get outside, get some sunlight, get some fresh air. It's the other things that come with it. It's not just the vitamin D on its own. Yeah, it's totally. Like the whole combination.
Yeah, it's the actually being in the natures and taking your shoes off and walking around on the grass and getting that energy from source.
Yeah,
it 100%. Is so important, and I think a lot of society is missing out on that, and that's definitely correlated with the rise in mental health issues.
Yeah, sure. I guess the combination of some of the other things we've said there as well definitely tap into that. Do you ever see yourself like settling down in a particular place? Like I imagine it's pretty hard. You know, you love that lifestyle so much. Yeah. But then, do you see that being a forever thing?
That's a really tricky question because my family are here, so obviously I would love to be near my family, and settle near my family. But at the same time, what does settling actually look like? For some people, it could be completely different to another person. Like settling could just be finding someone to shack up with for the rest of your life and be in that sort of like living that sort of life and with a partner and building a life with a partner. That could be settling. But I don't know. I suppose in terms of like actually roots, like putting roots down, the place that I've always sort of come back to has been the like northern New South Wales, like Gold Coast hinterland, which is beach and like rainforests and having nature, some goats and some cows and
living off the land sort of thing.
Basically, right? I have this vision of raising my children to be like hunters and with bow and arrows.
Be kind of sick. Hey, we might need it one day when everything else changes and robots take over. We got to fucking fight them off somehow.
Yeah, I plan on doing some doomsday prep.
Have a bunker and it's all set up. You're like, I may be doing this already. Like,
yes.
It's like, where's all my money going?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So firstly, I need to work out how to shoot a bow and arrow.
It's a good start.
Yeah, and then I'll acquire some land.
Yep.
Start the farming process. I've raised a flock of chickens before. I know how to do that.
It's a good start.
And yeah, that's probably like where I would say that's the settling place. But that's probably 5 years in the future. I don't know. Biological time clocks are a thing for us gals. So, and there's nothing really going on the horizon for me that's saying that, that's going to happen anytime soon. Yeah. So we'll just, we'll keep playing it as it is. Life is too crazy and uncertain to actually put a time frame on things, I think.
I guess that's another point that the modern world probably not fails necessarily. Like we're kind of pushing and forgetting about are things like that. That it's like, hey, we want this life now, but what do you want your life to look like in 25 years? It's like, so how long can you live the life you're living right now, and does that fuel the future life you want as well? And I guess that common point that a lot of people will talk about now is like, maybe we have to make some sacrifice in the current to get what we want in the future as well. It's like, where does that line get drawn? How much of a priority is this enjoyment in the current?
Yeah.
Because it's like, someone always say, you get hit by a bus tomorrow, and it's like, yeah, but I still also wouldn't mind thinking about the future a little bit as well. Like it's important to have that mindset of both, which I think social media kind of is all based in the current. Yeah. And we're forgetting that setup for the future a little bit as well sometimes.
Yeah. Well, how far in advance would you say that you plan into the future, like in terms of timeline? I feel like you'd be a planner. I don't know. Yeah. Are you a 10-year planner?
Well, this is going to sound really bad. I went to a Gary Vaynerchuk event in Melbourne.
Gary V.
Yeah. I mean, I must say, like, this guy, Phil Nosworthy, was the standout, and it wasn't even his event. He was incredible. Like, he's worked with, like, Microsoft, all these big, like, he's a I'm going to butcher what he does, but like works in like the leadership of these teams.
Yeah.
And he talked about a guy and had a clothing store in Brooklyn, and it was his 100-year plan. And he was kind of like, 100-year plan? You on fucking drugs? Like, you're going to be dead. You realize that?
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, but it's kind of everything that comes with that. It's like building the foundations, accepting that it won't happen overnight, building something that outlives yourself and all these sort of things as well. So it's funny because in business, like that's how I see business. I'm like, this is my life project. Like I'm not trying to do some get rich quick thing, because I think as soon as I live too much in the current with that, then I'm just going to do things really fast and rapidly and make decisions just to do like make money now.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm like 100-year plan, it's like, no, but we're solving a greater problem. We can get to that solution later and all these sort of things.
Yeah. Are you saying that you have a 100-year plan?
No. Fuck it. I can't write well. Like I'd be getting tired, like getting towards the end of that. But I definitely would say that I know, like, I know that I would, want to settle down, and I want to have that life set up, but I don't have like in 5 years, I'm going to have a kid. I'm like, fuck that. No way. Like, it's kind of like when it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
But I am building knowing that I want that to happen in the future, I think. And so it's like, having a plan, but not being too rigid with it that it takes away from what comes and goes in life along the way is probably like, like you never know who you're going to walk into the next day or what opportunity will arise. So if you're too strict on that, you may miss something as well, I think.
Yeah, for sure. You have to be able to flow with the wave, like just it. I think part of my issue has actually been not having enough of a plan. So there's a flip side. Like if you don't have enough of a plan, you end up losing track of time and kind of just floundering around and not knowing what you want to do or what your underlying mission is. Not saying that you have to have an underlying mission, but I think it helps to have at least, set out,
guide you on the right sort of direction.
Just like where, it is literally a guide, a beacon that you sort of head towards, I suppose. So there's so many different ways that you can plan out your life. It's just what actually suits best for you. So for me, 100-year plan doesn't work. Not even I do plan to live a really long life, long and healthy life. But even a 10-year plan, I struggle to look that far into the future because I am very much invested in the now. And I don't feel like I can plan that far ahead because there's so much that can happen in a day. I swear to God, I don't know if it's just me having this experience, but every day there's so much happens in a day. Yeah. It's unbelievable. In a week, 1 week can change everything. So 1 year, 2 year, 3 year plan. Yeah, I'm down.
I guess it's probably like no matter the length of the plan, it's be willing to change it still. Like it's not being like, this, a job opportunity, maybe for someone comes along and they're like, nope, that's not on my plan. I'm like, yeah, but this is better than your plan was. Like so maybe you like divert that, or like, this is a great opportunity. And you like, so it's okay to have that guidance, because likely along the way, having that plan or that rough sort of mindset of where you want to go with things, you'll stumble into other things that will, segue you slightly as well. But likely that plan is based around your values. And I think, I don't know, I could be wrong, like it's whether those values, the core values, are unlikely to change all that much. So for sure, setting yourself up and having some guidance maybe around that then puts you on the right path to everything else along the way.
I think that's a nice way to put it. Even just so you can go back and have a look at, I wrote that down and I actually did it and it happened. And that may not have happened the way I thought it was going to happen, but it actually did happen. And I brought it to life. And I suppose that's kind of what I feel that my planning looks like, is like just writing down like a bit of an idea of how the year looks in terms of setting goals, but not necessarily putting this like pressure on myself to get it done in a very specific amount of time. I think you do need to put pressure on yourself, but you don't need to put it to the point where it's like stressing you out, because that is not healthy.
It's like attaching that identity again, isn't it? It's like, this is what I want to do and I'm going to try my hardest, but if it doesn't happen, I'll know I tried my hardest and that's okay. Like, you can reframe and then move on. Life's fine. You're alive. It's good.
Yeah. It's basically all good always. You just need to sleep it off probably, generally.
Get some rest, bro. Less caffeine. Have some rest. Yeah. So what are some of the things that you're doing, like what are some of your daily non-negotiables then when it comes to your mental and physical health?
Yeah. God, the non-negotiable list is so important. I find anytime I divert off it, mental health sort of begins to decline. Yeah. Meditation daily, like.
Is that like a guided practice, or is it just you sitting with your thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah. Just wake up, meditation, sunlight. I have a very meticulous diet regime in terms of what I need to consume in a day for optimal productivity. Ideally, 2-3 hours of deep work will make me happy and fulfill me. If I don't do that, there's a lot of guilt at the end of the day, and I'm a notorious procrastinator. So yeah, that's definitely one of the things that I've been actively trying to do this year, has been just intentionally knuckle down. I actually go to Starbucks. I'm a Starbucks girl, which is so rogue because Starbucks is not really a thing in Australia. No, not at all. But free Wi-Fi.
True.
My eyes just fully light up.
Like this is the nomad lifestyle in Australia.
Yeah, but it's actually funny. Everyone in Starbucks is there to work. There's no one having coffee and chatting in Starbucks. Everyone there.
That's actually, yeah.
It is the biggest productivity hack. I don't know if you've ever heard of the term of the idea of body doubling, where you sit down, like you're more productive if you're sitting down with someone.
Yeah. Because
if they're working, you feel obligated to also work. Yeah. And it's just the energy that you're
as long as they're not yapping. Like it's sitting down with someone that was doing what you want to do.
We wouldn't get anything done, obviously.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh, that's 8 hours. See you later.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, Starbucks has actually been a massive productivity hack. So yeah, the intentional deep work for sure. I walk honestly about 15,000 steps a day.
I noticed you recently started like walking to work as well. Like
add
that. I don't know how recent that was, but you put it up recently.
Yeah. It's that's walking is seriously so underrated. It's an amazing form of exercise. So I walk to work or from work, and or like if I'm actually in the office, which I haven't been so much at the moment, but if I'm not, I'm walking around. I'll walk around the park or walking meetings or walking anything. Yeah. So yeah, that's exercise. So that ticks that box. But I'll also run or skip. I don't train at a gym. Like I'm weird. When I'm in Australia, I don't actually go to the gym. I just do my own thing.
When they're all available, you don't use them, sort of thing.
Basically.
You go to Thailand, like, where are they?
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. I just prefer to do my own thing. I'm a bit of a lone wolf in that sense. So the gym definitely would help with the vibe and the energy, but also I don't know. I've just got so much at my fingertips in terms of what I can do myself. I don't feel a great need to join a gym unless it's Muay Thai. Then
I guess it depends. Once again, we all want different styles of training. Like it's put me with a skipping rope and I'll get 2 and I'll be fucking like throwing the thing off the balcony. Like it'll be go crazy. But once again, that takes time. You get better at it. Yeah. And it's like, cool. You don't have to train like someone else. You don't have to it's once again like that. It's just make sure you're doing something physical, something training wise, whether that's running, whether that's bloody playing a game of tennis, whatever it is. Like it's like, I think that's when people are like, I want to do cardio. This is something I try and recommend with my clients. Like do a social sport. It's the easiest way to run around like a headless chicken and get so much done and you don't realize you've done it. Yeah. Running on a treadmill is boring.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything worse. Go out and do something or go for a run with a friend or something that's like social and it makes it so much easier as well. And you kind of like lose time.
Yeah. Being creative with your workouts. I've spoken about this before. It's so important. Otherwise you just burn out. You don't want to do it anymore because it's so repetitive. Yeah. So changing up your workout style and finding something that actually you enjoy doing is super, super important. You're right. You don't have to do what other people are doing.
No.
Like I don't have to go and lift weights in a gym, and you don't have to skip for 30 minutes because we have stuff that works differently for us. So,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But yeah, non-negotiables, just it's basically just like hitting those health points is food, like nutrition specifically, like protein intake, hydration, bit of deep work, stuff that feeds this mind, body, and spirit.
Yep.
Those, everything that aligns with that, and going to bed early.
What's early?
Well,
I'm a grandpa, don't worry. You probably no judgment from me.
I'm bad. I'm such a night. Like I have had to train myself out of this of like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. going to bed.
So what do you try and what's the goal?
In bed by 9:30, but I read.
Yeah.
I love reading. So
how early do you then wake up off the back of that?
I try. Like Sydney's weird. Everyone gets up so early in Sydney. It's crazy.
It's a big city thing, isn't it?
It's
like it's
ridiculous.
all happening straight away.
I get up. I'm probably up by 6:30, between 6:30 and 7, and I've gotten some scrutiny for that. They're like, "That's not you. That you're sleeping in." I'm like, "What? How?"
Come on, I'm waking up with the sun, mate. Like,
I know. Well, yeah. I wake up to with the sunrise, circadian rhythm things, and it's just I can't. I don't. You know how people really push the 5 a.m. start?
I hate it. I hate 5 a.m. I wake up at 5 a.m. for work, and
Bruh.
I had a sleep specialist on, and I asked him, I was like, people say I'll get used to it. I've been doing it for 4 years now, PTing.
Yeah.
I'm not used to it.
Yeah.
I'm the same. Like sometimes I'll in my office shut the blinds to make myself feel like it's nighttime because I work better.
Yeah.
Like here, like it's last night, I was like, sun came down, everything. I'm like, bang, I'm on. And I started to wake up ready to go. I'm like, fuck, I'm supposed to be going to bed now. Like, it's so bad.
Yeah.
But I think just like playing into what works for you as
Yes.
well. If you still get the same amount of work done. Now, external to the rest of the world may become a little bit more difficult to operate within.
Yeah.
Like the modern world doesn't help the person that likes to stay up a little bit later and work and then sleep in a little bit more.
Yeah.
Even though that's not a sleep in, it's normal. Like that's fine. Who cares?
Yeah. I agree. I think the main thing to sort of prioritize is the circadian rhythm at the end of the day. Like trying to be as mindful with time that you eat, time that you stop looking at your phone and your laptop. Talking about non-negotiables, like no laptop after 8 p.m.
Last night was like 9:30. I was still.
I understand. The worst my mental health has been when I've been like grinding on Twitter for.
That's a bad place to be.
Oh, dude, Twitter is I'm like Twitter native because I need to be because of work, and the worst my mental health was at certain points was based on the lack of sleep I was and how much social media I was exposing myself to into a late sort of hour, like 10, I'm talking 8 a.m. clocking on and then 10 p.m. clocking off. And it was just, it drained me for weeks. I did that. But yeah, that's a non-negotiable for sure, getting off as soon as you can. But yeah, to your point, again, with trying to adapt your lifestyle to someone else's, like I don't want to get up at 5 a.m. and I will not get up at 5 a.m. Like leave me alone. Like that's sleeping time. Prioritizing sleep and amount of sleep is way more important than trying to adhere to some, 5 a.m. club standard. That's great if that works for you, if you're a morning person. But for me, that doesn't work, and I perform a lot worse if I'm waking up that early when, the sun hasn't even risen.
No, you're like, it's not natural even in a sense of that. And I think you made a perfect point there. It was like, my performance is less.
Yeah.
So you're willing to wake up, like people will be like 4 a.m. Yeah, let's fucking go. I'm like, for what? After an hour, I want to go back to bed.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so you wake up at 4 a.m. to have a really unproductive day just to tell someone you woke up at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Sleep in.
Yeah.
To your standards. Like wake up a little bit later, you'll work better, and therefore you might find you don't have to work as much because you're so much more productive within the hours that you're actually working.
Yeah. It's just not an idea. Like it's based on what feels right for you. And yeah, if that doesn't work, then don't do it, you know, just because someone else is doing it. But for some people, amazing benefits, you know. It is a beautiful time of the morning. Like it is when no one's up and you've got the peace and the quiet and the no distractions. No one's messaging you, no one's online. But it's still like, if you're not going to do well with that sort of routine, then don't do it. Don't do it. Don't try and change yourself.
100%. Yeah. Are you now when you're like walking and doing those sort of things, is that space where you let yourself just kind of think and be in your own mind, or are you clocking into podcast musics and all these sort of things? Because I think like it's so important that we call it even half an hour of just like creative space time.
Yeah, agreed. I listen to so much music. Like I love it. It's probably my biggest vice, I would say, is just over consumption of music, which is definitely, it can be overstimulating for sure. So generally when I'm walking and running, or just spending time like cooking or whatever, I will most of the time honestly have music on, or I'll listen to podcasts as well. But there are certainly times of the day where I intentionally take everything off and like no sound, and just sit with thoughts. And that has been really, really helpful for me, because without the distraction of, your phone or the laptop or the music, you're able to sort of process things that are happening through the day. You said that you play golf and like that's your time. I'm sure there's periods of time like when you just are there with the ball and or like about to tee off and you're just in the moment. I think finding those specific times in the day where you're just fully present is so key for general mental well-being and staying sane.
Especially when you suck at golf, so you actually have to concentrate as well.
Yeah.
That's good. Like I have to see where the ball went because it's not gone straight. So like, but yeah, I think like, and that's that. But I wonder as well, like is the music such a bad thing sometimes as well? Like if you have that deliberate time, like it's people will always, you could be like, that's filling something. You're listening to the music for a certain reason. It's like, is that bad though? Like if you've got music on for 6 hours of the day and that makes you feel good while you're cooking or while you're working, you get more done. It's like, as long as you're taking some form of deliberate time and space to still have a little bit of time without that, you probably don't need to change that. Like it's not everything needs to constantly be changed and be becoming better. It might be like, that's working, cool, keep it, let's do it.
No, it's just about balance though. It's about balance, and also it's dependent on for like prior to going to bed, we're like 7 till 9 p.m. I'm not going to be listening to anything with like high BPM because it's so I'm super sensitive. As I said, my cortisol will spike and I'll just be like on one, and then I can't sleep.
Just summed me up last night. I was like playing music out loud. I was like 9:30 going, and I was laying in bed. I was like, fuck.
Yeah, you've got to be so careful because I go for a walk and then I'm like, seize the day, and it's like 8 p.m. This is not the seizing the day time. You really need to take that specific time of the day to be winding down, to be preparing for rest. Because like the other night I was so excited for life. It was ridiculous. I was like, all right, lights out, 10 p.m. That's it. I lay awake for 4 hours, just so hyped for life.
Like, come on.
Yes. And I had to keep like going onto my notes and writing stuff down because I needed to get it out of my mind. But part of the reason why I feel like that was I had caffeine after midday, which is a big no-no for me, but also because I went for a walk and I got really pumped up. I was listening to really exciting music and I was like, yes, this is like, life is just amazing and I've got so much opportunity and like the the possibilities are endless, provided there's no big cell flares that take us out, or some, yeah.
What's that going to change? We're not going to know, so it's all good.
I know, yeah. It's like fear of death is a really interesting topic, and I just don't really have it. Like,
did you used to?
No, I don't feel like I've ever really had a fear of death, ever. I feel that I've always had this really weird acceptance of whatever happens. I
feel like as much as it sounds cliche, you might be on the other end where you like have the fear of not living and doing much with that time and the time you do have here as well.
Yeah, I do not fear death. I fear regret. That is seriously like
it's probably fucking scarier.
Yeah, like imagine getting to 50 and then looking back at time that you felt like you could have been doing something. And I suppose that's been what really kicked me into gear, was the idea that I will get to an age where I wouldn't say I'm a hustler, but there's definitely an element of me that hustles for sure when I need to hustle. Yeah, you get to a certain age where you don't really have that sort of young hustle energy anymore.
Yeah.
And then it's probably too late to do it. So just do it.
Take it while it's there.
Get it done.
Yeah. So how do you find that balance then? Like, because you're obviously still, you're not like a lazy person. You've still got things you've mentioned there that you're wanting to get done. You're wanting to do those things, but you're also that balance, and like that word, I guess, is very much different for everyone out there, depending on whether you got kids, how many hours you work, whether you work remotely or whatever it is. Like, how do you balance that? I guess call it the relationship with like working hard, but also enjoyment.
Yeah. I have found that the best way for me to work is just every day chipping away at something. It doesn't necessarily need to be like on paper the most productive thing that one can do in a day. It just needs to be something towards the end, like the greater goal. If that's meeting with someone and having like a soundboarding session and going over the idea of what you're trying to, that's very productive in my opinion. Like hours spent on that is very productive. Or it's spending time like just not doing anything and just being present. If I've been sort of pushing and really, really like working hard for a few weeks and just taking a day to rest, that's also productive. So I think it's actually just creating a better understanding and relationship with what your sort of style of working looks like. I'm going to do this, and this in the week, and then that's it. Like, I'm not so rigid. I do have more of a flexible mindset when it comes to getting, as long as I get stuff done, whatever it entails, that is good enough for me. And I think I've had more success with that sort of productivity than I have when I've been super rigid. There's this concept of slow productivity where it's actually trying to specifically do less to be more focused on the task at hand, rather than being like so distracted by all these different things that you've got going on in your life, being like really honing in on one particular thing and really focusing on that for a few days or a week or just a day, like whatever. I think that style has actually really helped me.
I think I actually heard that on, it would have been Rich Roll podcast. Actually,
yeah.
There was the guy that must be the author of the book, maybe Slow Productivity or something. And I was listening to that in the car one day, and I'm like, fuck, I got things to do, things to change. But like, I think it's like some things, obviously you go, well, X has to be done by this stage as well. But like, I find I'm so very similar, so much more productive when I go, all right, here's a list of things, say, that need to be done by end of week.
Yeah.
And then you can't even explain it. You're kind of like, I just feel like doing this one right now. This is where my energy is going to be best. Like for me, there's sometimes I'll sit there and I need to edit the clips of the podcast or whatever. I'm like, no, right now, like I do not have the capacity to sit there. Maybe because that's a little bit more of a mundane task. If I'm high energy and I'm ready to go, I'm like, I can't sit there and just like slowly go through this thing. So I got to do something that's a bit more stimulating. When I'm a bit more fatigued, then I find it easier to do the clips because I'm at a lower energy level already, and it requires less energy, so therefore it kind of just suits well also. And I think so maybe like tapping in, and once again, you can't really sometimes explain what that feeling is, but you kind of just know what the work you should be doing is based on how you're feeling as well.
Yeah. So you, like intuitively working with your energy levels, you're sort of on that train. Yeah. I definitely believe in was it eating the frog or eating the toad or whatever it is, like getting the thing that you really don't want to do first thing when you have high energy levels, but then sometimes that just doesn't always work. Like, and that's fine. Just, it's more just, and male and female, like we're different. I need to work differently to you. And I am not built to be like a hustling 12-hour a day person. Like I'm a princess. I need to do princess mermaid things. Like,
meanwhile, I'm like, no.
But that's just what makes us unique, and that's fine. I still like to, get my hustle on and get
100%.
and get shit done. But yeah, we really need to work differently, or everyone does, just to their sensibility and what makes them more productive. I also really don't like being told what to do. So if someone's like, do this, and this, I'm like, no.
Probably not.
Nope.
Yeah. It's interesting that, isn't it? Like, I guess trying to, and that's probably as a leader tapping into being able to do that really well, is like, how do you give someone a task without making it seem like you're telling them what to do? Like, it's kind of, I think it's a challenge.
Autonomy, giving people the ability to be responsible for their own thing.
Like trusting in who you're hired.
Yeah, a good leader will always will never micromanage. That's for sure. They will always allow the person to work at their own, like, with a bit of added pressure and check-ins, but generally, if you're a good leader, you want your team to be able to handle any situation without you even being there. So yeah, like autonomy is a massive thing, especially in the digital, like in the global, like remote work situation, which crypto is basically majority global industry and remote work. So a lot of the time when I've been working for one of these companies, they require so much autonomy for you to be getting the stuff done without them needing to hold your hand.
Requires a lot of discipline on the person that's doing the work as well, though, because if someone's not in the room looking over your shoulder, you could easily do something else.
Yeah, it does. But at the end of the day, they still get the output and they still have eyes over the output. So if the output's not good enough, then, well, yeah,
that's true.
You know what happens next.
Comes back around eventually.
However you get that done, that's up to you. Yeah.
So. Now, you've talked about wanting to start a YouTube channel and a podcast yourself.
Yeah.
When can people expect to see it? Is it happening still?
Yeah.
Pressure's on now. Throwing under the bus.
Yeah, no, it's happening. It's like, it's my brother actually and I have like, we're not, there's no competition. It's more just like accountability to each other. He also is like, this is what he's spoken about doing. And it seems that we're on this path where, like, if one person's doing something, the other person will try and mirror that, because we have such a similar spirit that when we stick to something together, it seems that we get more done.
So that Starbucks example, though,
exactly.
Isn't it?
Yes, it's accountability. It's accountability and having someone that you are doing something with. It's so important, I think, when pursuing a goal, if you don't have like a team around you to create that accountability. So yeah, he's told me yesterday that his is happening, so therefore mine has to happen. Shit. No, it's coming. It's on it. The perfectionist thing is it's so hard to navigate because you don't want to put something out that's not to your standard. But at the end of the day, the content that is more raw and candid actually performs better anyway. So why the resistance?
Yeah.
It's just mental. It's just a barrier.
Yeah.
Why am I like this?
Well, you could sit here and start to pick off the things that this Airbnb studio is not doing. Like, I can hear like the sound's not perfect compared to my carpeted floor studio. I don't have the big box like sitting here, so I can see a bit of shadow. And I'm like, who the fuck cares? Like,
Yeah.
you know what? Like this one day maybe I can travel with all that kit. It's
Yeah.
like, but you got to start, and then every bit gets a little bit better. Like
Yeah.
this light is a new addition. I didn't have that the last time I did
Yeah.
podcasts on the road. So maybe next
good
time
light.
I'll have another one. Like it's fucking bright, but like, you know, like everything evolves and you get better.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm not sure if you know, like Greta Van Riel, like massive businesswoman.
Yeah.
And I think she had put something up, and it was about like, if your first product is not something you look back and be ashamed of, you
Yeah.
started too late.
Yeah. Okay.
Like you're in the time, you probably shouldn't be like, this fucking sucks. But
Yeah.
like, if you look back in 10 years and be like, ooh, that was interesting. Good. That means you didn't wait too long. If you wait too long and you make it perfect, then you're too late. Like there's so much learning could have been done in that time frame.
Yeah. It's like, it's about, you know, everyone's got side quests. Get the side quests like to be integrated with the main quest. So start working and applying like more intention to those side quests, and not just have them floating around in your notes. You know, as a to do, this is a $1 million idea that I'm going to look back in 10 years time, and I didn't do it. Or even social media for me, I was like, oh yeah, I don't know, and I don't really want to do it, but I know I could do it.
Yeah.
And then I just did it, and then it happened. And it sometimes it just takes consistency and like really believing that, regardless of like how the content comes out first and what it looks like, you just keep going.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the
100%.
day, no one cares. You think they care, no one cares.
Yeah.
I don't look at anyone's content and I'm like, oh, that sucks. Like no one thinks that. And if they do, then
Who cares? Like it doesn't matter. Like, yeah.
It's cringe mountain is the thing. It is the biggest hurdle when it comes to being a content creator, but also just a lot of things in life. Putting yourself in the position where you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm comfortable to do that. Moving through that, moving past that is just everything will start to flow once you get past that. Wow, we're so diverted off that.
You've done it once, now you have to do it again with the podcast.
Yeah.
You did it once with social media. You're like,
exactly.
Now it's the same thing. You've done a rep. You're more likely to step into it sooner because you've done the reps as well.
Yeah.
I think that's like anything. Like it's you just do it more, get better at it, less imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
You know.
So coming soon. Yeah. TBC. But it's happening. It's happening because I've said it and I've set the intention and I've like announced it. So to myself and to the world, and not that I have like a much of a world to announce it to. It's more just like actually putting it out there. And when you put something out there, you hold yourself accountable to fulfilling that promise. So yeah, she's coming, but it's the time. It's the time. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Well, we might wrap things up there. Really appreciate your time. Lots of
Thank
value
you,
in that
Jordan.
for everyone. Thanks for coming.
Appreciate it.